We thank the Board of Education for this wonderful opportunity. We are the Parsippany Redbots. We started around 3 years ago, and we've had many successes. All the past 3 years have been very successful for us. And now we'll introduce the Chipwrecked.
Hi, we are the Shipwrecked Vikings. We started last year as a rookie team, and this is our second year participating now, and we hope to be improving upon last year's results to hopefully have a successful year this year as well.
So first we'll start by introducing the organization we're part of. So first is a National Youth Robotics League, which promotes STEM ideas and careers in engineering. We're all a part of FIRST, and there's various categories of FIRST. So first there's FLL Junior, which is for really young kids in lower elementary school. And then there's FLL for upper elementary school and early middle school, where they just start doing robotics but with Legos. And then we're doing FTC, which is First Tech Challenge, which is we build actual robots and we have missions to complete in a competition. Then there's FRC, which is a much larger scale robotics competition.
So there are many aspects of the game. The three main aspects are autonomous, teleop, and endgame. Teleop is when you're allowed to drive the robot, and autonomous, you have to program it in a way so that it drives by itself. And endgame is the last part of the game where you just get back to your location to grab as many points as possible. The main focus on teleop is to stack blocks this year. We're able to stack around 3 to 4, and we're not able to. Also, you're able to have a cap bonus, which is you create you can create something out of a square with the dimensions, and you basically put it on top of something you build, and if you do that, you get extra points. And there is one human player, 2 drivers, and a coach, which basically tells the drivers what to do.
To reach our robots, which we have currently, we've gone through many different iterations. We'll explain a bit about how we actually designed our robot in the following slides. We always plan our designs first. We draw the designs. We sometimes use CAD to draw our designs too. For our first competition, we had 2 robots. We actually designed 2 robots at the same time, and we used both of those robots at 2 separate competitions, and then we also built a 3rd robot. Currently, we're designing a new robot that we hope to compete with in our January meet. First, so we talked about how we came up with ideas. You can see the crane at the top right hand of the screen, and we use that crane in some of our ideas for our robot. You can also see the big whiteboard, which has a lot of different ideas. There's one idea which you can see at the bottom center of the whiteboard, which is basically a stacking crane, which uses linear slides to stack the different blocks onto the trays. And then you can see the CAD design, the computer design that we're currently designing for our current robot. You can see a bit of the stacking robot design at the center bottom of the whiteboard in the computer design for the robot. You can see the linear slides, which we hope will place the bricks on top of the trays.
So our first competition robot, our robot consists of a claw which grabs the block and a linear actuator which will make the blocks which would allow us place the blocks on the tray. And then during autonomous, we used to move the big tray and park in the area that they tell us. And during teleop, we used to move blocks and place them on the tray. During endgame, we used to park and move the tray out of our way. And then our second robot also has a claw which used to grab a block, and then it has linear slides which is really stable to place blocks on the tray. And then during autonomous, we used to move the foundation and park like the other robot. And then Talia, we used to place the blocks on the tray. And then endgame, we used to move the foundation and park.
So, in order to pick up the blocks better, we switched to the linear slide design that we showed as our second robot. Both robots were built around the same time, but we used a linear slide robot for the competition that we had after this competition. Okay.
So we're having a lot of outreaches to inspire a lot of other people about STEM. We're planning to have outreaches at elementary schools to teach them about STEM because we think it's important to have the future generation also learn about robotics. Every single day, every meeting, we try to improve our robot and make it better to suit the challenge and gain more points. We have a few mentors, actually. We have a mentor from the Department of Defense who's helping us out with the building and the engineering. One of our team members' dads is helping out with the programming. And with these mentors, we're able to improve our robot.
One of the other outreaches we've had is I happened to speak to someone from the Indian American Services, which are it's a service organization that helps Native Americans find scholarships. And in speaking with them, they contacted me because I knew somebody who knew that I did STEM, and I met with our executive board and them on the phone, and they have a situation where they deal with from the north of America down to the south, out in Mexico, New Mexico, in that area. And they are working with these kids who are on reservations where they have no electricity in their home. And they are well below the poverty level. So we were sitting here discussing, if we get the PEF grant, what should we do with our $1,000? And then we're talking to this man who they have no electricity in their home. So we're saying, well, they could do this and they could drive. They can't drive anywhere. They don't have busing. They don't have anything that they could do. So what we've been doing is trying to look for organizations that would help them. And if we can find a company that would be willing to buy them robots, like the FLL robots, they could do something locally within themselves. They don't have to be part of FIRST. They can just have their own competitions. And if that were to happen, they're setting up camps for them. We would hope that we would be able to be in contact with them and help them with any questions they had. And the second thing, video. And this is a video. Hold on one second, don't run it yet. Last week, Shipwrecked Vikings were competing, and they're right at Brooklawn, and I live in Morris Plains. And so my niece and nephew, who are 5 years old, were telling me they really like robots. So I said, let me take you over there. And they were there for as much as 5-year-olds can handle, about half hour.
So basically now the robot is sensing for the color, and then when it senses it, the arm is just going to drop down, and then it's just going to do the programs and push it to the other side. We need to get both the robot and the block to the other side to like gain points. So then then it just parks on the tape, so we get points, and that's it for our autonomous right now.
Oh, this.
All right, so for our competition robot, Ms. Hefner mentioned earlier that we tear apart our robots a lot in order to improve upon them. This meeting actually just so happens to be in the middle of that process. So right now, this is our robot here. However, it is not the complete version that we have. In fact, most of it is actually in this box over here. So while we can't show you the physical version yet, basically the idea is that we have 2 sets of these green wheels. And essentially, these have a springy sort of texture. So if you want to pass this around. And essentially, there would be 2 sets placed parallel to each other. and we would then have these wheels rotate in opposite directions. So as the robot gets closer to them, the wheels will essentially grab onto it and then act as sort of like a conveyor belt and lift up the blocks for them to be deposited out the back end of that rail and into the foundation, which is the tray that we need to place these blocks in. So as of right now, we have a working drivetrain, which we actually just designed earlier today, and essentially it allows for us to turn and have just a very wide range of motion. However, we plan on improving it so that way it better fits our mechanisms. Before we had, as you can see, there's 4 motors towards the back end of it. Before they were more widely spread out around the robot, and the reason why we had to tear that specific one apart is because every time we picked up a block, the blocks would actually knock out the wires in the motors and, cripple our robot. So we ended up having to move it, and we've essentially had to do this 3 times this season so far, and we're right now preparing for our competition in January.
As the Chipwrecks told us, we're all in the design loop again. So we hope to be able to build a much better robot for the next competition.
When do you learn what the goals will be? Is there one set of goals for the entire year?
Yes.
So it's the same goal, and then next year
They'll have a different set of goals. Well, thank you.